What's up guys, my name is Ace, and welcome back to another Battlefield 6 gun guide. In today's episode, we're going to be diving deep into the stats of the KTS100, and toward the end of the video, I'll be sharing a couple excellent attachment combinations to use with this gun. And starting it off, as always, let's have a look at our raw power potential, and with this gun, we have quite a slow rate of fire. It's the slowest in the LMG category, at least tied with the M60 at 514 rounds per minute. But unlike the M60, which can get a 3-shot kill up close, this is going to be a 4 to 6-shot kill depending on the range. And what this means is we have quite a bad time to kill potential with this at 350 milliseconds in the maximum damage range with a 4-shot kill, and that increases all the way up to 584 milliseconds with that 6-shot kill at longer ranges. So raw power-wise, this is by far the weakest LMG in the game, but don't write it off yet. We've got some really big upsides coming up. However, I did want to first take a look at the range comparison here with the other LMGs, and we have very standard range drop-off points here. We first drop off from our maximum damage range at 21.25 meters, and then we drop off to a 6-shot kill range at 75. So really, so far, the only thing that's out of the ordinary is it has a very slow time to kill. But next, let's have a look at our muzzle velocity, which is best in class at 840 meters per second. That's an excellent muzzle velocity, and that's going to be helping quite a bit if you're keeping yourself at more of a distance to your targets. Then after that, we have hipfire, which is LMG level hipfire, and that means it's quite bad, and it's especially bad due to its slow rate of fire and low damage value as well. With this gun especially, you really want to try to avoid hipfiring, unless you're like practically touching the enemy player or you're just in a desperate situation. So far overall, it's not looking too good for this gun. However, let's now look at the huge upside to using this, and the primary reason you'd want to use a gun like this. This is recoil. As we can see here, there is very little recoil. This is one of the most accurate full auto guns in the entire game. It basically just kicks a little bit straight upward with very little deviation, essentially zero horizontal recoil. And you can often very comfortably full auto this gun even at long ranges and be confident that your shots are going to be landing where you want them to land. And especially when you combine that with the excellent bullet velocity we have, it really solidifies this as more of a longer range gun where time to kill is less of a factor and it's more about just hitting your shots. Because remember, even at long range, our time to kill potential is quite bad with this gun. Now after that though, let's have a look at our handling stats, and this is an area where the KTS also doesn't do too bad relative to the other LMGs. Like our aim down sight time is a bit better than average for the LMGs out there. It's not the best, but it's better than average at 367 milliseconds. Sprint out time is standard, and our magazine capacity is not amazing, but it's also not bad. It's 60 rounds by default, and the nice thing about this magazine is you can reload it reasonably quickly, especially when putting it up against the other LMGs in the game. We get a reload time of just 3.25 seconds, or if we're using one of the fast mags, this is 2.55 seconds. So those are a couple other notable benefits to point out here. And for multiplayer stats, this just leaves us with mobility, which is standard for LMGs, and that means it's not very good. Although keep in mind, if you combine this with the support class, you get that LMG weapon proficiency, which increases your sprint speed to match all of the other weapon types in the game. And with that covered, we can finally move into some REDSEC stats here against 2 armor plates. This is going to be an 8 to 11 shot kill. And once again, we see a very slow time to kill potential relative to the average LMG out there. However, if you play a lot of REDSEC, you probably know the KTS is one of the best guns in REDSEC, or at least one of the most commonly used guns in REDSEC. And the primary reason behind that is in REDSEC, you tend to get into gunfights at longer ranges. You also tend to have to hit far more shots to get a kill against somebody that's using armor plate compared to somebody in multiplayer without armor plates equipped. And therefore, having the ability to just full auto somebody at long range without having to worry about a bunch of recoil or a bunch of random dispersion, so you have to slow down and tap fire, you don't have to do that with this gun. So in practice, your long range time to kill with this gun is probably better than most of the other guns where you have to take your time tap firing or firing in short bursts and often missing a lot of shots in the process. You just don't have to worry about that nearly as much with this gun. And when you combine that with the nice balance between your magazine capacity as well as reload speed and also your bullet velocity, that really just combines nicely for REDSEC in particular and the types of engagements you'll find in REDSEC. And now that we've got that out of the way, let's get into a couple excellent attachment combinations I've got for you guys. Keeping in mind, these are focused around multiplayer since I don't really play REDSEC. And the first one I've got for you is my long range build with the KTS. So with this, I actually really like using the SU-230 LPVO optic. I don't use optics like this very often, but on this gun, I often want that extra magnification because I feel confident challenging people at pretty extreme ranges with this, and therefore it's nice to have that magnification. At the same time though, when I get into close quarters, I hate having a 4x zoom optic in close quarter situations, so this optic allows me to toggle that to a 1 magnification when I am getting myself in more of a close quarter situation. Now on top of that, we're using the flash hider. I don't feel like I need to stay off the radar, but it's nice not having that diamond appear above your head when you fire your shots. We're using the heavy extended barrel on this, which gives us an excellent muzzle velocity at over 1,000 meters per second. We're then using the ribbed stubby for our underbarrel, and this is primarily to help give us a slightly better aim down sight time at 300 milliseconds total for this build. But on top of that, it slightly improves our recoil. You won't even really notice that much with this gun since there's very little recoil to reduce. For our magazine, we're just using the standard 60 round mag on this. On this particular build, I'm using hollow points, and that just allows me to have some more headshot potential. Since it is such an accurate gun, I often find that I can actively aim for the head, and so it's nice to do that with this one. And then finally, we had 5 extra points here, and I thought I'd throw that on the rail cover for a slightly faster draw speed. So that's a really nice way to use this if you're primarily sticking to long range, while still having that versatility with the magnification of your optic. You can drop that to a 1x if you want to get a bit more aggressive. However, if I want to be more aggressive overall, let's get into my next loadout, which is my aggressive-ish loadout. I'm not going to say that this is a very solid aggressive option relative to many of the other guns in the game, simply because as you get more into close quarters, this is where time to kill does become much more of a factor than recoil, for instance. But with this one, we're using the ROM 1.7x optic. I really like that particular one. It's really unobstructive. We've got the red laser on here just to help a little bit with hip fire. It's not like I'm going to plan to go into fights hip firing, but if I end up in a situation where I feel I need to hip fire, that's going to help me out there. We've also got the standard suppressor on here, so I am staying off the radar for anybody that's at least 15 meters away from me. We once again have that heavy extended barrel on there, combined with the rib stubby and the 45 round mag, and that combination brings our aim down sight time all the way down to 250 milliseconds, which is going to be very helpful if you're going to be a bit more on the aggressive side with this. And then on top of that, we're also using our lightweight ammo to help improve our mobility a bit. And then finally, we once again have that rail cover. And I do find this one to be quite nice if I want to be a bit more aggressive, largely because I can get aim down sight a little bit faster, and that can really make a big difference in a face-to-face fight up close. And there we have it. That's going to wrap it up for today's gun guide on the KTS100. And when it comes to my final thoughts on this gun, obviously, if I played REDSEC, I'm sure I would love it in REDSEC and probably use it fairly often, but I don't. I mainly just play multiplayer, and I've got to say, in multiplayer, while it's nice to have a gun that's super accurate and you can just full auto without a care in the world, at the end of the day, I really do feel like the time to kill on this holds it back far too much for my personal liking or my personal playstyle. Now, something I've always said with Battlefield is time to kill tends to be less important than a game like Call of Duty, for instance. But in saying that, you can also take it too far to the extreme. And in my opinion, this just kills way too slow. And generally speaking, within the ranges that I'm going to be seeing in regular multiplayer, I would rather use a less accurate gun that's capable of killing significantly faster if I'm hitting my shots. Because with this gun, you can hit all of your shots, and that will often still not be enough, simply due to the fact that the other guy has a gun that's capable of killing significantly faster. Now, of course, those are just my thoughts on the KTS, and I'd love to hear what you guys think about this gun in those comments down below. And if you guys have missed any of the previous gun guides, I will leave a link to the playlist in the description of the video. If you enjoyed this one, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.